Hello. Okay, so I'm Taylor Ursula, and we're going to be pulling some cards today for the first quarter moon in Taurus. Now, this first quarter moon in Taurus is happening pretty early here on the West Coast, a little later in the morning out on the East Coast. And what you might notice about this particular first quarter moon, we are coming out of the new moon in Aquarius. So we are starting a new cycle, and at the first quarter, we always have some sort of crisis, perhaps. We want to see if we're making progress toward the intentions that we set at the Aquarius new moon. And what's interesting about this particular first quarter moon is that it itself is in connection to the nodes. So the North Node is moving through Taurus right now, and the moon is moving through Taurus right now, and the sun is moving through Aquarius. So with this first quarter moon, we also have the sun square the nodes. The moon will meet the North Node right after it squares the sun. And so we'll be kind of dealing with some sort of change in direction that is aligned for us to meet those intentions that we set at the new moon. So it's not your average first quarter square where we feel the sort of normal amount of tension that comes up when we want to start seeing results and we have to face whatever is coming up. When the square to the nodes is involved, there's a bit more discomfort, there's a bit more fear, and there's a little more uncertainty. We are being asked to step away from an old path and step into a new one. And that requires awareness of that path. That requires faith in being able to take that step towards something new. And it requires making peace with, or at least trying to make some peace with, what we're stepping away from. That may take some time, right? Stepping away from things and releasing the feelings that are affiliated with those things may take us a little more time and practice. But this leap into faith, if you will, is kind of a moment that we have the opportunity to take advantage of. So the question for today's poll is going to be, can we take that leap? So we're going to go ahead and pull some cards and see what we come up with. See what this cycle is bringing to our attention, see what of our intentions are starting to grow, and see maybe where we need to push ourselves out of our comfort zone a little bit in order to kind of reach the full extent of what it is that we are trying to make happen right now. So let's see what comes up when we pull. My little sweetie Jasper here is going to join us for card pulling. So at this first quarter moon, we're going to check in on the energy that is accumulating now. As I mentioned a moment ago, this is the moon that's happening after the new moon. And so we want to see what's coming to fruition. We want to see what's beginning to take shape since that moon. And next we're going to ask about the doubts and the complications that are arising with this energy that is accumulating. And we're going to pay special attention to what comes up there, since we mentioned that these doubts and complications will feel a little stronger than what we're used to. Then we're going to check in to see what kind of gifts we can work with regarding this energy. It's always good to take a look at, and get an idea of what we have that's working in our favor right now that we can focus on. And lastly, you want to take a look at the lessons that we're able to make sense of as we approach the full moon. Things may not start to take shape in the exact way that we hoped or expected, and we'll want to be aware of and mindful of what we can look out for at this time. So let's go ahead and cut this deck. Now, before we pull for this first quarter moon, it's important to remember that we're looking at the entire moon phase, and so we have to contextualize today's pull amongst the new moon pull. So a quick review of what we had come up at the new moon. The cycle that was beginning for us was the Fool, starting a brand new cycle aligned with our higher, larger journey here on Earth. What we were clearing away to allow for this new cycle to begin was the Ten of Pentacles. So we had some sort of previous set of expectations, some goal or outcome that we had really envisioned or planned on attaining. Perhaps we had a previous vision of what our end goal was going to look like, what we were working toward. The 10 is the end of a cycle. And so, for one reason or another, we have let go of some of these previous expectations. We have released what we thought we were working toward. What this new cycle may look like as it unfolds, this has been us perhaps revisiting ideas of community, or perhaps releasing some emotional idea of things we had hoped for previously. This can be upright a card about nostalgia. And so when it's reversed, it can be that we are releasing some vision of what we had of perfection based on the past. And lastly, how we can ground our ideas and intentions now is the Hermit reversed. So we were being encouraged to kind of step out of hiding. We spent a period of time retreating. We may have been kind of out of the limelight for a time, taking some space, living in the literal woods, perhaps, or otherwise kind of existing in a bit of solitude, a bit of introspection. And so grounding our intentions looks like coming out of that place of kind of hibernation and connecting with others once more, sharing what we've learned in that time spent within. So we're going to pull cards beyond this to see how things are taking shape now. Okay. Well, looks like everyone's upright today. So energy that is accumulating now. I love to see that, the Two of Cups. So the energy that is accumulating now is more one-on-one emotional connection. We are building perhaps friendships. We are experiencing emotional connection and closeness. We have hopefully come out of this hermit place, and we've started doing this sharing with other people. We started doing this connecting our ideas, our hopes, our visions, and our dreams with another, or perhaps a few others. And we're just getting a taste of what this gives us, what this feels like, what this is opening up for us, especially since we've started this brand new cycle and we've released some of our ideas of what things are supposed to look like. We might be connecting about the visions that are coming in about what things will look like next. Doubts and complications that arise with this energy. How fitting that we see the Two of Swords here. And another two. We have emotional connection, but we're faced with already this sort of fear, uncertainty about our decisions. We are connecting on an emotional level with other people, but now we have to trust our intuition and our instincts. What are we listening to when the moon is sort of surrounded or shrouded by these clouds? What do we trust when the light that we tend to defer to is unclear? What I love about the Two of Swords is that it feels like maybe we're choosing different weapons or different tools to arm us, to prepare us, but ultimately we go through the same portal. So this may be about choosing what kind of mindset we're going to take in with us. Are we taking the sharp blade where we are prepared for anything, no matter how fearful we are? Or are we taking this duller blade that kind of from the outset has us in a losing headspace? Do we go in feeling prepared, or do we go in feeling fearful? Do we allow our fear to take over us, or do we push our way through it? Gifts that I can work with regarding this energy. Okay, more swords. It's nice to see the king here. The king is probably one of our preferred swords, as it demonstrates that we have mastered our mind. I made this look similar to a sword in the stone, with the idea that it takes a skilled and powerful mind to wield this sword in a manner that demonstrates truth, that demonstrates honor. Not all can approach this sword and support its weight. Not all can wield this sword with authority. And so to be able to use this tool requires us to have moved through many stages of self-mastery. And I love seeing the king next to the two, because we see where this journey starts off and we see where it's able to end. I start off with so much fear and uncertainty, and I'm going to make a choice, and I'm afraid that it's going to be wrong. And yet, here with the king, I have moved through these battles. I have moved through this uncertainty, and I've come through feeling assured, knowing myself, and trusting myself. Lessons that we are able to make sense of as we approach the full moon. The Five of Wands. We are putting ourselves into the arena, or rather, we're being encouraged to put ourselves into the arena. This very much fits with what we started off talking about, especially with these squares to the nodes. We're being asked to not be better than or surpass our fear, right? Courage is not the absence of fear, but it is deciding to move forward in face of it. So we're being called to acknowledge these fears, these doubts, these possible complications. We do have to make choices, and that does ultimately eliminate some options for us. And yet, despite this fear, we are called to tune into, to tap into the truth that we have come to, perhaps, again, in this cycle, in this time that we have spent as the hermit within, cultivating our inner truth. We're called now to demonstrate that outwardly, outside of ourselves, to demonstrate to others this truth that we are capable of wielding. When we tune into this truth, when we trust this truth within us, when we trust that we possess this truth, we remember that we are worthy. We are skilled in what we do, and we are capable of utilizing our creative and passionate energy to move through the world successfully. So this really feels like we're doing the work to make emotional connections. We are pushing past the fear and the mistrust of our intuition, remembering that we actually have very deep reserves of truth that we have established for ourselves in the previous cycle, and that we are able to contribute our work at this time. We are able to defend our honor at this time. We are able to show up and collaborate with others creatively at this time, regardless of the fear that might be plaguing us within. We have done the work to have a seat at the table. We have done this reflection. We have released these expectations, and we are ready to tune into a deeper truth within us that helps us show up in this way that is seen, is heard, is respected, and is appreciated by others. And this is really creative energy, contender energy. And it's exciting to see this as we build up to the full moon, because this stepping up, this showing up, this being willing to participate in the game, even if we are feeling uncertain or we are jumping into something we've never done before, being willing to show up and play is important to us now. So this first quarter moon definitely gives vibes of promising new possibilities if we are able to overcome that little hiccup of the Two of Swords, which is probably just a good reminder anyway. We have a lot of new energies coming in this year, and it will certainly be a test of what we've really learned and made sense of over the past few years. And so it makes sense that we would kind of have this roadblock, if you will, or this crossroads perhaps. But what I love about it is that the two is the beginning of the journey and the king is the end. So what we're really seeing here in this poll is that we're confronted by some minor fears, but ultimately we already possess the strength to pull us out of them. And this really gives me kind of like timeline jumping vibes. We've been setting ourselves up for this evolution for some time now, and it's the moment where we're being asked to really step in and start living in those truths. And we might feel a pull backward. We might feel compelled to hesitate or resist, and we're really going to want to not miss this chance. We're really going to want to give ourselves the sort of mental assurance at this time, whatever that looks like for you, that we can successfully step into this new way of being. So thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited to see what's going to come to fruition for us at the full moon. These are some really, really good energies that we are navigating now. And I am sending you lots of strength to make the jump. You got this. See you next week for our full moon.